Test sound, test sound. All right, good morning. I could see a few of you starting to file in. All right, Jorge, good morning to you. Excellent to know. Thank you. Thank you. Going to give it a couple of minutes here for people to file in, and then I'll kind of go on my usual welcome tutorial. In the meantime, while we're going to wait a few minutes for people to file in, if anybody has a specific question, I can try to demonstrate that quickly. I'm going to give it to about 8:05, and then I'll get going on some kind of pre-done content that I've done, and then we'll head back to a Q&A. For the moment, I have what you folks should see upon first startup. If you're completely new to the software, if you've taken a test drive before, or you've had an account in the past, there's a chance that you have some kind of pre-done layout yourself or a customized layout. But for the moment, I'm gonna start working off of the layout that all new test drivers and new subscribers would see. All right, sounds good. And again, I see a couple more people popping in. We're gonna give it to about 8:05 before I get going on the pre-done content that I have for this morning. Over the next couple of minutes before that time, if someone has a question, you're welcome to pop it in. Then, like I said, I'll go over some pre-done content I've done and then open it back up for a Q&A. So for right now, I just have what we call the Explosive Winners channel open here. It's on a replay mode for our race. And so it's essentially replaying the race's entire day in about 6.5 minutes. All right, just a couple of more minutes here. I'll wait to see if there's a few more that will show up. Looks like it's going to be an extremely light crowd this morning. So I will stick around as long as there's some engagement going on once I kind of run through my pre-done content, and we'll wrap it up accordingly to what we've got going on here. So just give it another minute here, and I'll get going underway. Meantime, I'll pour myself a little tea and hope that a few more people pop in here, and we'll start to get going, I guess. All right, so 8:04, I think that's enough time to let people file in, and we'll get started here. So again, what I have up here is what you all should see upon your first layout or load up, unless, of course, you've done a test drive in the past and you've saved a new default layout yourself. The Explosive Winners channel here, a few different windows to look at. We've got our race here, and essentially this is looking at some of the biggest winners from the day in replay mode. We have a few different charts in here on different time frames: daily, marked by the D, 15-minute, marked by the 15. We have what we call our single stock window here, which is going to give you a bunch of different stats of the stock that you're currently looking at. All of this is very customizable. We can change the time frame here. We have several different time frames. And everything is a right click in Trade Ideas. We can right click, and there's all kinds of options inside a right click of any window. This includes any type of scanning or data window that's not a chart, a configure window that's here. So for example, on the single stock window, if there was some kind of data point that I wanted, I can come to configure and I can look and search, and I could find any of these here. I could click on any one of these and I could go show column, and I could bring that column over to the selected columns. So there's the 120 minute that I just had selected, and I can use highlighting and right to left arrow, bring that in. If I press OK, you're now going to see 120 minute range here, for example. And so, we can do that with any one of the data points that exist within the system. Of course, we have to be realistic about limitations on size and things like that. So if, you're trying to put 40 columns into a single stock window, chances are it's not going to work in your favor so well. Everything in Trade Ideas lives in two different places here. Again, a right click, you'll get configure options. There's numerous other options that are in here for saving, whether you want to save to cloud or save it as locally. Some of these things need some context, and as you go through over the next couple of days, I think that context usually becomes pretty clear pretty quickly. Of course, we're always here. You can always ask us questions. We have an email, support@trade-ideas.com. You can always get us there. We try to get to everybody as quickly as possible through that email. If they have questions, always bear with us. We never ignore an email. Some emails just take longer to respond to than others based on the questions and information you're looking for. As I mentioned before, everything in Trade Ideas lives in two places. As I said, the first one is a right click. You right click any window, and you'll get a number of options to go through and look at here. The second place is what we call our menu bar. That's this up here, where it's going to say File, New, Tools, Windows, Help, and Account. And in here is where we can find to load different items that we have saved from the cloud. And the cloud is a way that we can pass scans and layouts back and forth to each other. If we're looking to start any kind of new window from scratch, you'll find that under New, all these options that are in here. Tools, there's several different items in here that you will get to over the next couple of weeks, hopefully here. Windows is a good way. If I had minimized windows, I can't find them. You can click Show All. It'll bring all your windows up that you might be missing. Inside Help, you can find our fully searchable users guide, definitions for any alerts and filters, channel descriptions. Again, these are channels over here. A channel just means a layout, and a layout is a conglomerate of scans and charts. We have some other different help videos for the odds maker / backtester, video help, frequently asked questions. The other items that are in here I don't think are too important to get to now. There's a lot of information that I'm going to go over, and you're not expected, of course, to memorize all this as we go forward. I could literally talk about the software for 5 straight hours and not cover everything. So last but not least, account. This is where you would have found your login. If you ever seem to be getting sticky data, meaning that things, chart might not be loading when you're clicking on it, you can come into account, reset your connection a couple times. It should fix that. It'll jump you from one server to the next. Sometimes it's your internet, sometimes it's our server, sometimes it's consolidated data feeds from the exchanges that can get hung up in the interwebs there. Go over idea surfing here. This is just a passive way of looking at charts. What it'll do is it'll cycle through the top 3 symbols on any of your top lists, price alerts, and Holly. So for example, you're at your desk, you're tasked with other things, but you still want to, charts to cycle through on your screen so you can look at them while you might be busy doing other things and can't click through charts. That's what that's for. It's just a passive way to look at charts. This may be a personal thing, but how much do you prepare the evening before trading? When I'm looking for more swing trading ideas, a lot. When I'm not looking for any swing trading ideas and I'm only day trading, I don't do any preparation, to be honest. I scan using the races for my day trading. Whatever pops on those, I start to chart as they pop up. I'll click on things that are leading in races. I'll start setting price alerts on the charts by right-clicking, create price alert, and I'll move the price alerts according. They get set off. If there's a pullback, I might, depending on the size of the pullback, I might move the price alert down to reset it, or I might just reset it. If it didn't pull back much, I might reset it right where it was. So I really don't do much in the way of preparation if I'm not looking for swing trading ideas. When I'm looking for swing trading ideas, I do a lot of preparation in the evening before or the early pre-market, very early pre-market. Given the bear market that we've been in since, technically the bear market didn't start till I think sometime in either April or May. But if you looked at market breadth underneath and high beta versus low beta stocks in February, you would have seen that a bear market was forming underneath the surface of the indexes. So I really haven't done any swing trading since late February, early March. Basically, I've been all strictly day trading. Okay, with that said, I want to start to go over a few different items here and what's the difference between the scanning here. If we come to new, all right, let's start with alert window here. An alert window is a twofold function. There is the alert, which is a time-stamped event, new high, new low, new ask high, new high ask, new low bid, new high, but filtered. If any of these don't make sense, you're not sure what any of this means, you can always click on it, highlight, click help, and that will bring you to the alerts and filters page directly to what you were looking for. So you have the option in help to go to the alerts and filters page up here, or you could click just like I did. You could also right click it when you highlighted it and click help as well. And it'll bring you right to what you're looking for here, and it'll give you a nice, clean, clear definition of it. If we notice, most of these alerts also have something over here. These are going to be what we call our alert filters. So if I were to click on new high and I were to add that alert here as going to be part of the scan, it'll bring me to the selected alerts tab. You can see there's a field here for these alerts that I've got loaded into the scan. And again, on that help page, we have the definition of the alert. And then if we scroll way down, we have the alert specific filters that we're going to come to right here. And you can line those up by the icon, as we can see here, how these would line up, and it'll tell you what entering values in those fields would do. So for example, on the new high, if I put a 365 there, I would then be looking at a 52-week high, essentially, and that's highlighted by this here. This counts weekends, so always keep that in mind. If I put a 10, I'm looking at a 10-day high. If I leave it blank, I'm looking at an intraday high, and that's how we do this here. Again, alert windows are twofold, so we have an event that'll be a time-stamped event that's happening, and that has to be line up at the same time that's happening as our filters. So the alerts are all these single icons like this. Like I said, some will have a filter attached to the alerts over here. So we can see these ones are blank. There's no filter. We can see these ones do have a filter over here. The filters do not need to be filled out for the alert to work. It's only if you're looking for specific things. On our basic filters, what we call window-specific filters, they are marked by a dual icon, this teal and purple color here, indicating a minimum and maximum value. And I click on any one of these and again, click help, and it'll bring me right to the help page directly to what I looked. So I clicked on price. There you have it. And gives us that quick description there. Filters can be given a value or can be just shown as a column. What does a column mean? A column means a data point that the scan is displaying. So for example, if we look down here, time is a column in this, the symbol is a column, change from the open is a column, the relative volume is a column, and strategy, because it's a multi-window, meaning there's multiple alert windows inside this. That's what that is referencing here. We'd highlight it, we can add the filter, it'll bring us to the window specific filters. When you start a new alert or top list, there's probably going to be some defaults that are set in there. You can just erase any of that. I believe every window will have a name for default. I've set my default to say new alert, but if you haven't set up a default window, meaning what it brings up every time you load a new one, it would probably say something like breaking out on volume or something to that effect there. You can just change that in the summary. And again, minimum and maximum values can be minimum and or maximum values can be added to any of the filters. We have about 500 different data points in total that you can build scans with here. So there's really no limit to the combinations that can be built. Obviously, the more specific you are with the scan, the more filters you're adding, the tighter the values, the less alerts you're going to get, the less results you're going to have returned to you. The less filters you add, the looser the values are, the more results you're going to get. There's always that fine line. There's no perfect scan. Every scan is going to find some stocks you're not going to like. Every scan is going to miss some stocks you wanted to see. Finding that fine line to get that number down and up on each side, is part of our work as traders and users of the software. So what do I mean by a tight value? A tight value would be like a price range of $1 to $2. Not going to get a lot of results, right? A loose range would be $1 to $1,000, right? You're going to get a lot of results. And the same applies with all these other filters here. If you're ever in question what a filter value is doing with this when you enter or change them, you can simply use the show me function in the middle here. You click on that, it'll bring you to this window, and you can alter the scan right here and see what it's doing. So right now it's telling me show me stocks with the prices between $1 and $1,000. I could change this right here and I could say 6. Now show me price between $6 and $1,000. Or I can edit here and I could say 100. And now it's between $6 and $100. And if I press OK, we can see that it's altered the scan right here. And that's there. In the exchanges tab here, there's the different exchanges. It comes default selected with the with the US exchanges and the major ones. We do not leave the pinks or OTCs by default, but you're welcome to add those if you want. Same with the BATs. And you've got the small exchange. I don't think too many people are doing anything with that. Probably most people are not familiar with the small exchange, so we won't cover that too much. And if any of you were scanning Canadian stocks, there's the Canadian exchanges for you there. You can use what we call symbols list to point them at scans. So the scans only look at the stocks you want. We have pre-made lists that are all over here, and you can create your own list as well. You can put a check mark in any of the lists that you select, that you bring in, and you could say follow only the following list you want to look at, or exclude the following list. You can make a scan only look at a single stock as well. Enter that single stock that's there. Columns, again, are what is being displayed, and this applies to both top list and alert windows. You'll have a list of columns to select from here that are either recently used items or items that are already involved in the stock. You can move them right to left to get them as selected columns. If there's a column that you want that you don't see, you always come back to search. You can click on it and show column. So that's the short and skinny on the alert windows. Top list. All very similar here, except there's no alerts inside of top list, just filters. And top list will return every stock that meets the filter every 30 seconds on a refresh, and drop the stocks that no longer meet that set of filters. While top lists don't have the alert, they do have the sort that's here. All right. So when you've told the top list to find you the stocks, it needs to know how to order those stocks, and that's what the sort means. And you can go with the biggest of the sort on the top or the smallest of the sort on the top by switching those out. Top list default to show only the top 100 stocks that will fit into it. Bring that back up, sorry. You can change that number, of course, again with the right click. Time frame, set record count. You can change this up to 1,000. Just keep things realistic. How many people can really look at 1,000 stocks at one shot? When we look at just 100 stocks that's here right now, that's quite a few stocks to look at, of course. But sometimes when people are scanning in the after hours or exporting data to a spreadsheet, because you can do that, you can export this all, save contents. They want as much of the list as they can get in one shot. In a way, I find similarity with the greatness of Excel. This is not a spreadsheet, but the beautiful Yeah, and it's one of those things, Jorge, as you go forward, it's like the snowball effect. As you start to understand stuff, it'll break open doors and it'll give you a lot of light bulb moments with this. So that's the short and skinny with Topless here. Let's keep moving on a few other items. We've got the multi-strategy window again. On this, you can essentially take multiple alert windows and put them in here using a collaborate feature. This is a way to save space, so you don't have to have 3 or 4 alert windows taking up so much screen space. You can put them all into here, and you can color code them so you know which alert window is making which alert. We've got our single stock window again here that I kind of went over at the beginning. Again, very customizable. We can right-click, configure. We can get rid of different data points we don't want. So you can, if I don't care to see what the current cash of the company is, I could take it, push this to the right. It's no longer going to be part of the scan. I can find things in here. I can show the column, and then I can push it over to the scan with the column here. Moving along, we've got single stock. I'm going to skip compare count windows for now. That gets into some more advanced functions. And again, anything that you see in here that you're unsure about, you can always come to help, user's guide. And if we go down on the user's guide to this lower section, everything has what's the word I'm looking for? All the different items in here have their own section, excuse me. So you can find, if you wanted to know more about compare counts, you can click on this and it'll bring you here. There's going to be some videos on it, descriptions. Also, we have a full table of contents that's searchable, so you can click that again. So this is the top of the user's guide. We scroll down here. You have these different sections that are in here. You can also go to the table of contents, click on search, and you could type in whatever you wanted. So for example, if I wanted to know more about compare counts, here we go, right in here. All right. Again, the user's guide will be one of those things that as you get more familiar with the software and you're running into things you're not sure about, this is where you're going to want to head to. Of course, you can always email us to the email that I shared before, and I'll share that again, support@trade-ideas.com. Right? You can get us at that email. It's not 24/7, but we do our best to get to people around the clock. I want to keep moving here because I want to get to your questions in a moment. Next, we look at charts. Charts very similar to everything else with the right click here. There's also many of the functions of the chart that we've now put up here as quick buttons. So changing time frame, we can change chart styles. There's different drawings that we can put on here, horizontal lines, trend lines. We can put some notes on the chart, put an arrow on the chart. There is anchored VWAP. If you're not familiar with some of these terms, I suggest writing these things down, giving yourself a web search afterwards. Some of these are going to be technical analysis and traders terms. I am a self-taught trader. I knew nothing about trading before April of 2017. That's what I did. I attended the live webinars that we had at that time, our free traders room. I wrote things down. I went, I searched it, asked questions in the webinars, asked questions in the traders room, probably annoyed Barry very much sometimes, but that's too bad. I'm just teasing. Barry has always been very, very gracious and kind to me. We can set price alerts right on the chart by clicking on that bell. We can set the price here. Again, we can right click. We can find price alerts here. Everything has a default that it opens to. So this is what I set my default charts to open to with these moving averages and volumes and so on and so forth. So for example, if you're someone who likes to open new charts and you want the chart to look the same every time with the same moving averages, you can do that. You can set it up. You can come, you can go to your indicators. You can set your indicators in here. All right. Once you're done, you can right click and you can set as default. You can do the same thing with top lists and alert windows. If you have a top list or alert window, you want it to open the same way every time when you're starting from scratch. Build it out to what you want the default to be, then save it as default. We can add by going right click in properties. We can show pre-market. Again, we can show post-market. If you want something like crosshairs, we can bring crosshairs on here. We can show watermarks. We can not show watermarks. We have a dark theme on the charts. And then we have our chart styles right here. So, you know, we can change color and things like that. There's comparison charts that we can do. And we can have candlesticks. We can have lines. We can have area charts, bar charts, so on and so forth. Again, all this will be covered in the user's guide. So, you know, user's guide is going to be your friend. We'll keep moving to the next items. Our channel bar. All right. So here I have a dock channel bar. That's what we've got going on here. I can go through and I can swap through any of these here. Momentum channel, for example. Give it a moment to load. We can scroll down. We have a show more down here. We have a lot of channels. There's also in the help a descriptions of the channels. We've made a lot of changes recently, and I've been trying to keep up on the channel descriptions, but forgive me if I've missed something over the last week or so that we made some change. Most everything should be in these channel descriptions. So if you go ahead and click that, you're going to find this here. I think a lot of the channels are very self-descriptive in what they're looking for, but you can come into here. You can find things here. Again, if something seems slightly off or missing, I just haven't been able to keep up the last week, and I apologize. Getting ready for the test drive and a few other items that I've been working through. But for the most part, you should have everything in here describing what those channels are doing. There are two different channel bars. So we have this docked one here. I can get rid of this whole dock. If I don't want everything docked together in one neat, clean item like that, get rid of this, get rid of this. I can come to new, and I can come to channel bar, and we have a free floating channel as well. And they'll all be very similar to the dock channels, just a slightly different feel on these because these are going to be free floating windows instead, like this. This is going to bring me to my next part of the tutorial, where someone will say, gee, I only like one scan from this channel, and I like another scan from that channel. And then Chris shared a scan with me. And then my friend Tim, who's been using Trade Ideas for 2 years, shared a scan with me. How can I get them in my own layout and create my own layout? Great question. First, we have our welcome video series, which if you folks haven't watched, please do so. And it's 30 minutes. Most of you probably will not need to watch the first few minutes or first video or two about logging in and things like that. The rest might just save you a lot of heartache. If you have not watched it, and you folks should have received all this in a set of welcome emails. Oftentimes these end up in spam. So if you haven't received welcome emails from us, please check your spam folders. Oftentimes our emails end up in spam for whatever reason. We've worked diligently to not have it happen, but Gmail especially hates us. This is a link to these 30-minute, it's 30 minutes total, 10 videos, about 3 minutes each video. I would really recommend going through those videos. So I just shared that link there in the chat with you. It'll go over some of what I'm going to talk about here in setting up layouts. So let's just say that I like this biggest winners from the open top list here, and I want to build a personal layout. I can go right click, save or share to cloud. And now I've saved that into my cloud. And if I go file, load from cloud, there it is. Biggest winners from the open, what I just saved there. And I could say, you know, I also like from the momentum channel. Let me load a momentum channel. For a moment, bear with me, and bang, there's the momentum channel. I could say, geez, I like this Extreme Master Blaster scan here. Right click, save or share to cloud, save, and there may be, let's say, short squeeze channel. And, oh, you know, shorts feeling the pain. I like this scan, right? And again, a right click, save or share to cloud. And now I start to have a bunch of items in my cloud that I can string together, right? And so I can get rid of all these items here because the channel bar is not customizable in the sense that you can't edit things on the channel bar and save it, because the channel bar is something we hold on our servers and push out to everybody. But you can make edits and then save it to your own cloud or save it locally. So I can get rid of all this stuff here. And I can say File, Load from Cloud. And there's my shorts feeling the pain. I can bring the scan over. File, Load from Cloud, Extreme Master Blaster. I can bring this over. And again, File, Load from Cloud. Biggest gainers from the open. These were all from different channels. And now here they are, right? And I could say, well, I want to add my own charts, and I, start to go new chart window. And here I am building my layout and another new chart window. And, I can change my time frames. I want to daily to the left because, as traders, we look left always. That's what we say, look left on the charts, right? And I could say, well, I need a single stock window and new single stock window. And we can go through and we can edit these and customize everything that we want. We could say, gee, I really like the shorts feeling the pain. But what I didn't like about it, if I come to the configure, I didn't like the price range on it. So, I only want to see stocks that are $4 or more. And I just want to cap at $100. And now I've just customized this whole thing here. And I can go through, and there's two ways that I can save this. When something is saved as a layout, it can only be loaded as a layout, and it will close everything else on the screen, okay? But we don't have to save everything as a layout. I can go File, Save or Share to Cloud. Now there's two options here. I can click Entire Layout and give it a name right here like that. And you can see how it put check marks in this whole thing. But if I save it as this layout, it'll always close everything else I have. I might have a set of scans that I want to be able to load into any layout without closing the layout. So instead of doing Save to Entire Layout, we would go File, Save or Share to Cloud. And now I could say, I want to just check these different items. And that's it. And then again, I could say my whatever I want to call this. And now we can save it. And when I go File, Load from Cloud, we can see this here. It's marked with that TI icon where top list is a T, multi is an M. Again, top list is a T, alert windows are an A. Now, if I click load, these all loaded. Sorry, they loaded on another screen, but here they are, just like that. Versus if I do this, File, Save or Share to Cloud, Entire Layout, Save. Now watch what happens if I load from cloud and I click that layout, closes everything, and it'll reopen exactly what we see because that's what I had saved. But had I had another layout there, it would have done that. And if I click on, any of these channels here, you're going to see it's going to change it because these are all layouts. Sharing scans back and forth, very simple. Right click, Save or Share to Cloud, click Save and Share. You're going to get a URL, and you can copy that URL and send it off to anybody you want. For example, if you have a scan and you want some help on it, or you think it should be seeing a stock, but it's not showing up for you for some reason, we always troubleshoot scans for people. Generally speaking, when something doesn't show on your scan, it's because there's a filter or a setting that's blocking it. Not to say that our data's never been wrong, but it's usually not the case. I will say literally 999,000 out of a million times that it's just a setting in the scan that's blocking something. But we'll ask for a cloud link of the scan. This is what we're going to want here that you're going to send off to us. If you're ever loading, you just simply right click, copy the URL. And if you were to go to File, Load from Cloud, that URL should be already pasted here. In the event that it's not, you just paste it. And if you click load, it would load that scan for you like that. So it's a way that if you have friends or you're in another trading community or anything like that, you folks can share trade idea scans back and forth. And you can do that with charts, single stock windows, races, so on and so forth. I think that covers some of the basics that I wanted to in here. let me jump really quick to the AI because I know a lot of people are always interested in Holly. So again, everything lives two places, right click, and then also this menu bar. We're looking for Holly Premium AI Strategy Trades window, not to be confused with the strategy window. Holly has 50 base strategies, give or take. It might be like 55 or something now. If you want to see just the strategy she came with each day, that's going to be in the strategy window. She only comes with the strategies that optimized and back tested the best the prior day. So some days she might have 3 or 4 strategies. Some days she might have 13 or 16 strategies. We never know. There's no way to know ahead of time. She looks at the entire market. There's no list of stocks she's looking at. So there's no way to quote unquote know ahead of time what she might alert to. But if we click on the Premium AI Strategy Trades window, we'll get a window that looks like this. All right, right click like everything else that's in here. And that is how we would find Holly. A lot of items in the right click here. There's a lot of data that can be displayed. So if I right click, obviously right now we're not going to see any alerts. We're on the weekend, but I can come to history and I can go to any kind of time frame that I want. We could head as a shortcut to the last 30 days, the last 60 days. Our historical data goes back roughly 64 trading days, no matter what the window is. I say roughly because that can be altered based on how market holidays fall on weekdays. So sometimes you might see 66 historical days. Sometimes you might see 63 historical days. But generally speaking, it's about 64 days. If I were to go and let's look at a time frame here, we've got a nice calendar, makes it easy for us to select. And yesterday was Friday the 14th. So Friday the 14th there, Friday the 14th here, using that like that. And I press OK. Well, we get what we had from Holly yesterday. Now, there's a lot of data points, and I know, a lot of lights and colors can be confusing. I'm one of those people that likes to keep things simple. How can I keep things simple with these columns? Again, everything in Trade Ideas. Right click, columns. We have our selected columns on the left here. Drawing tool work. There we go. And we have all the available parts over here. And again, like everything else, when it involves columns, simple select, right to left adds it. Simple select, left to right subtracts it. Just to go over a few of these columns here and what they'll mean. Holly has 2 main risk modes, conservative and moderate. Generally speaking, I like to tell people forget aggressive because aggressive is trading without a stop. I think trading without a stop is very dangerous, but to each their own, as I think trading is really risk managing. That's more trader talk, and we can get into those things more and more. If you folks stick around on the weekdays, I do a 3:30 p.m. Eastern session every single day. I take over for Barry from the YouTube side of our Traders Room and Trader Stream. And I cover a lot of trader talk like that kind of sort of thing, risk management, trading styles, trading plans, things of that nature. So I hope to see all you folks in there as well. David has popped in. I heard that. There you are. All right, David. Very good. David Afariat, one of our founders and managing partners. David loves to pop in. We love to do a little back and forth. Always some good content when David's around. So hopefully you folks will all find the value of this software, stick around and get some of those back and forths with David and I. Always awesome. Thanks for popping in, David. All right. So as we move forward here, I want to talk a little bit about the different main risk modes of conservative and moderate here. In conservative, Holly has 5 different exits that can happen. Not every strategy will have every exit. Each strategy is optimized and back tested based on different items, and then the algorithm selects what looked best on those back tests and optimized. So in conservative, the exit reason will always be a conservative reason, as well as an exit time will always be a conservative time. And I'll explain why that is in just a moment, but I want to bring up these columns and I want to get rid of a few items here just to clean this up for us. And I want to add exit time. There we go. That cleans things up a little bit. And let's stretch this out. All right, so these are always, again, going to be in conservative. The reason why is moderate only has 2 exits, a stop hit and a sell on close order at the end of the day. So essentially the only two things that would take you out of a trade or take Holly out of a trade in moderate is we never had the stop hit, and we held it, whether it was a winner or loser, without the stop hit till the end of the day. Conservative has a timed exit as an option. It has a profit save as an option, and a profit save is going to be like a trailing stop, meaning that we were in the money. So for example, HRMY was in the money here. Let me make sure I'm showing AI trades. There we go. AI trades wasn't on there. Let's get this nice and big for you folks to see. Zoom in a little bit so we can see Holly made the entry here. She was in the money, and she decided to exit on a profit save, not let this go and reverse on her. So here was their entry. There's the AI entry. Here's where the stop was set. And Holly was not going to let a winner turn into a loser in that regard. Again, timed exit is just meaning that there was a specific time stop to get out if nothing else happened to stop that trade out. Reduced risk is kind of the opposite of a profit save, meaning the trade wasn't working out. We didn't want to stick around to get stopped out, so we exited early to conserve our profit and not let that happen. Stop hit, fairly obvious. And I don't have an example right here right now, but we do have some strategies with the target hit. We could probably find that in history if we go last 60 days. There we go. Target hit, target hit, target hit, target hit. So we can see that we hit targets every now and again as well. And so those are the 5 conservative exits that we have. Again, for more on Holly, if we were to go to help, user's guide.
It's a great guide.
It really is. And we come down, scroll down. We've got a whole section on Holly right here that we can click on. And we'll go over everything section by section on Holly. Who is she? Where to find? What does Holly do? The base strategies, all these different items like that in here for you. So again, this will become one of your best friends over the next couple of weeks that are here for you.
Unless asked specifically in the chat, I will not divulge how we gave Holly her name.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Morning, Jorge. Good morning.
Morning, David. How are you? I put my camera on, but it was a late night doing this last night, and
You're a good man.
I don't have my makeup on yet.
It's all good. It's all good at 8:42 Eastern. It's all good. I didn't want to leave you this morning just hanging out alone here, so I wanted to pop in and
right.
and do our regular tag team effort here.
Excellent. I always appreciate that. So, we've covered a lot of the basics here at this point, going over the differences on our alert windows and top lists, multi-windows, kind of ran the gambit down here. We haven't moved into the Market Explorer or races. So next I'm going to hit the Market Explorer here. And the Market Explorer is a new technology that we have that allows us to do a lot of really amazing things that the legacy technology doesn't quite have the ability to do. And we're always adding new items to both the Market Explorer and the legacy tech. And at some point, they'll start to blur together a lot more. In the Market Explorer, never leaving you hanging on your own, we have a guide that's right here for you. You can click that, and again, it'll bring you to the user's guide section of the Market Explorer. And inside here, Michael Noss, our CMT, has done videos on the Market Explorer and all these wonderful scans that he has created and placed into here. Again, right-click magic. We can select strategy and these wonderful strategies that he's put in here. Different pattern recognitions that we continue to work on, candlestick patterns, moving averages, support and resistance. For you folks that are familiar with Rob Smith and the Strat and their crew, we have several different scans for them, and we're always adding new ones that are in here. What's special about the Market Explorer is that things like pattern recognition are very subjective. Some people will tell you that, for example, a bull flag is big move up and then 3 candlesticks fading like this. Some people will say a flag can last longer than 3 candlesticks. Some people will say that it doesn't have to be descending candlesticks. This becomes a debate and subjective among technical analysis. So how do we recognize patterns like that when something is so subjective and everybody in the technical analysis world is going to fit their own opinions into their own narrative? We don't. But what we do here is we create something that can encompass all these kinds of items and put them in a scan, just like this bull flag scan here. Pattern recognition. And we'll continue to add different items like that. So I know there are folks that like ABCD patterns, for example, or folks that want to find pennants instead of bull flags. These are all things that are in development currently.
So I could pull up mine, but so that bull flag, is that looking at 3 candles or 5 or what's?
It's actually looking at anything that has a range after a move up,
right,
and can go back a month or so, actually. So Michael's really giving it a wide open spigot on it. Mm-hmm. We clicked through a few of these. These are on dailies, of course. Let's get a daily chart up. But what he's tried to do is keep the range tight so that we're not seeing things all over the place. But as we see on this here, here's our flagpole. Here's a flag.
Yep.
Again,
it's
flagpole and a flag. So you might see tighter flags, you might see looser flags, but one person will argue that's not a flag. One person will argue that is a flag. You can make that decision yourself as you go through any of these scans. So for those of you that are looking for longer term items, the Market Explorer is an excellent place to hang. You have your relative strength divergences, long and short.
I think you just nailed it too. I think you nailed the difference between the Market Explorer and what a top list or other aspects of trade ideas provide. The Market Explorer is our answer to what specific setups customized to what we think is great. Sometimes when we're listening to other communities, what they're using for patterns that are usually a little bit longer term than what we can design in a top list. And they often have a pattern. So pattern would mean show me this series of events and then these series of events. Whereas we have that capability in the top list within trade ideas, but it's a little bit more, it's not, you can only do so many if-then statements. With Market Explorer, we can do more if-then statements added to it.
That's exactly it. There's also, like I said before, we have about 500 data points in legacy tech, which is a ton of data points. Nobody uses them all.
Right.
Nobody uses them all. However, there always is something new coming out, and these data points take up incredible amounts of server space because we put the ability to backtest and optimize based on those. So they're creating hundreds of millions of data points. So adding something new to the legacy tech is extremely difficult as far as server space goes. With the Market Explorer, there's a lot more server space and server tech that we can do. So for example, money flow index is not something that we have in the legacy tech, but we've been able to put it in the Market Explorer and push it out to you folks. Now, the Market Explorer at this time is not customizable other than going through the scans that exist in it. It will over time become customizable. We're just not quite there yet, but these are all things that are in the pipeline and working. So,
but what's the benefit? I mean, you're getting the benefit of all of our, of Michael, of yours, of mine, of everybody at Trade Ideas collective guidance, if you will. It's in making these strategies that we want to promote in the Market Explorer, that we make available. We don't put anything that hasn't really been either tested by ourselves or by a community that we respect, and we model their patterns in the Market Explorer, for example, like the Strat.
Exactly. We also take feature requests. Some we can get to quicker, some we can get to slower. Again, SUPPORT at trade-ideas.com. You can email us there if you have ideas and thoughts. If we get enough requests on a Market Explorer scan, that can be something that gets implemented for you folks at some point. We have to believe that it's going to be a benefit to the entire Trade Ideas community, of course. So, if you have a very, very specific scan that's just your own and nobody else would use it, odds are to the very back of the line. If there's something that looks like it's part of larger trading communities, odds are towards the front of the line. So we're always looking, we're always thinking, we're always taking requests, and that can happen just like that there as well.
Look, it's a powerful tool, right? And there's, as you're showing, there's so many. If this were a Swiss Army knife, there's a lot of tools in it. There's a lot of aspects in it. But fundamentally, what we're trying to do for everyone who uses trade ideas to make better decisions in the markets, it's to save time. The time to doing what? Less valuable activities in the process of trading and making decisions in the markets. If we can shorten all of the homework, all of the setups, all of the waiting for setups, all of the what should I be trading, or what's interesting, or what's happening that I need to be aware of, we can shorten all that time looking for those opportunities. That's the service we're in. That's the time we're giving back to everyone who's using the tool.
And I just saw your Slack messages there. There's a bug in my Slack that I don't get sound alerts, so I had it on another screen. I didn't see it, but I can hear you now, of course.
Yeah, figured it out.
Very good. So I'm going to move on to the races now, and this is my absolute favorite thing in trade ideas. All right, so we've got this race that's running here in replay mode. At the core of a race is a top list. So what I want to do first is actually get out of that race, and I want to load what I think is the best race. It's one of the only things that I'm not objective on in life is my race. I call it World for Strength from the Open.
While you're doing that, I mean, the races are just a super innovative way of really doing what? Of showing multiple charts in one concentrated space. So you can see the movement of not one chart at a time, one stock at a time, but see the movement of essentially 10, 6, 7, however number of cars you have or stocks you have in these races, which are each playing out in a very different way than how a chart looks, but you can see that activity in a race. And it's something that I call information throughput, which is one of the ways in which how can you deliver the most information that's understood as rapidly as possible, and the races help us do that.
So at the core of every race is a top list, and we discussed earlier how top lists are just a set of filters and a sort to find stocks. What if we had a whole ton of stocks? Let me go to a historical date. What if we had all these stocks that were coming through a top list? And what if this stock here is the one that's on the move the most? And we're sorting by change from open. This is at 8.5, and it's never going to be able to catch this 56% or this 29%, right? But this is the one that's making the big move now, right? But it's not going to move up the list. There's no way for me to know what's really moving here without just simply, going through each one of these and trying to figure out, is that the one that's moving? Is that the one that's moving? So what we've done is
even in this example, Chris, we've tried to add color to these top lists, so you can see like the darker, the darker the color, in this case green, the more advanced the movement, and the lighter the green, the more. So, but that still requires you to look over time to see, oh, that color just changed, or maybe it just got a shade more. And
that's exactly it. And some of these will filter up and down. So it's which one changed color, which one filtered up, which one filtered down.
Exactly.
So the first function here on the top list, again, we've told it, find me certain stocks. So, I've set these filters in here, and this is a momentum scan, and I'm using these filters to find some momentum. Very, very simple and basic. Once I've found the stocks, I need to sort them. And again, the reason why I sort on change from open is, what if we have a stock that closed here today, but it opens down here, right? But all of a sudden, it has a huge reversal. If I was just scanning for up gappers like this, I would never have seen this stock, right? And this may be the stock to trade today. Even if it gaps up and it continues to move, and that is the stock to trade, I'll also see that as well. So I'm not limiting myself on what I could see based on the change from yesterday. So that is the power of change from open. But once we've gotten there and we've ordered those stocks, again, how do I know which one's moving? That's where the race comes in.
That's like a stop. I mean, the top list is a snapshot. It takes a picture. You can see it instantly. Okay, this is where this is where stocks are relative to each other, and how much they are up from the open. And I believe the color coding is actually on a different variable. But regardless, you can kind of see quickly a snapshot of how it looks. But over time, even over a few seconds, it starts to lose its. You need to. So we refresh it, of course, but it's harder to track the changes that are happening in a top list.
That's exactly it. And that's where the race magic comes in. So our race lanes is going to be the amount of stocks we want to have come in. So we'd be picking, on this example, I have 10 coming in. That's plenty of a data sample for me.
Yep.
I'm one of those people that too much data when I'm in the middle of day trading is going to paralyze me. I want to see the most quality data. There's no such thing as too much data, but there's too much data at the wrong time. We can select how long we want to run these races for. I've chosen 3-minute races. And the reason for that is I like to see the race winners stack up here and who's winning the most races as a watch list over here. Then we race based on different items. For me, it's a change from open. So this top list has found the stocks that I want. It's ordered the stocks that I want. That's great. Now a change from open and delta value is telling me I want all those stocks based on change from open that are at the top of the list starting even now. And now the delta value tells me from starting from even what is making the biggest move now. And so that's how the 8% winner can start to overtake the 50% winner without actually overtaking it in the change from open, because the 50% winner from the open might be kind of flat at the moment, where the 8% winner is the one that's doing the real move right now. And we could set the races to auto run. They replace symbols, meaning that if a symbol no longer meets the criteria of the top list, it's taken off and it's replaced by a new symbol that meets it. And if we go here, we have our play button, traditional looking play button. And here we have our replay mode. So we can go back in time and see what was going on. And I could set that replay right here. So we've got today, and obviously today is not going to be a race day as it's the weekend. I have last trading day, and I can press replay mode, and here we go. And it's going to replay yesterday's entire top list set of races in 6.5 minutes and crunch it down for us. If I move this down here and I come to change this, let's go back to a 5-minute chart for this example. We can see FRO at the beginning of yesterday. I'm going to just clean this chart a little bit. And zoom back out. Just want to get rid of pre and post market because we're looking at live market times. We can see here, FRO had gapped up and we had a nice change from open going on here. Continue to move for the day here, right?
What a move.
And then we can see here, Bank of Montreal gapped up, moved down, and then made another move up here. And this is based on percentages. So keep that in mind when we're looking at price. I'm looking for percentage moves.
That's a wicked open.
ILAG, another one here. Now remember, this is going really fast. So we're already, a minute into a 6-minute replay of the entire day. And here we get ILAG.
We're in the first hour.
Absolutely nuts here at this point, right? And we're catching a lot of these moves here. We're never going to buy bottoms. We're never going to sell tops. Very rarely. But what if you could get this portion of the move every time? And what if we were showing you from here so you can prepare yourself for this here? That's the power of racing here. MEGL, another one. Look at the move, and we're catching it here. So again, I am mostly a swing trader by nature over the last several years. In the bear market that we are in, I have really wandered myself back to more day trading. I've really taken very few and far in between, swing trades since March. And I was at best a very mediocre day trader. I'm now slightly better than a very mediocre day trader with the races. So the races, without a question, have improved my day trading quite a bit.
This is all about being able to see the data in a new way. And, no one shows data like this. And in showing data in a new way, it permits new decisions, better decisions. We can see movement within, within an hour's development, not just, these candles and these charts tell the story. The problem is, how do I find those charts? How do I find those opportunities that are happening? These races kind of show it in a way that a list can't, and brings it to life, which is, I'm very much on the same path as you, Chris. I stay in a swing trading stance for and have been over the last couple of years, really. But I have moved more into active trading. I'm not the most, I'm not the person using the tool the most. I have to do a lot of other responsibilities in the company, but this drags me closer and closer to a shorter time frame where I feel comfortable making a decision.
Those shorter time frames are the tougher time frames to trade. So when you have a wonderful narrow set of data like this, it
why
really
is that?
helps keep you pointed and focused.
Yeah.
There's some other things about the top list, or excuse me, the races that if you join my live streams throughout the week that I love to point out. And I stopped the race rate here for an example. If we look here, inverse ETF, inverse ETF, inverse ETF, inverse ETF. When you see that many inverse ETFs and you might be in some long trades, you get a warning. You're having a warning sign flashing that the market is moving down. The market's making a down move with those inverse ETFs. So this is just one of the many ways how powerful the race is, telling me the whole market breadth intraday just changed. We had all kinds of stocks moving up, bullish, traditional stocks, and all of a sudden stocks are starting to filter out here. And we've got these inverse ETFs as the market is making a move down.
So we're 3 hours. We're halfway through the market. 3 hours.
That's right where I was going to go. So if we brought up a SPY chart, and we're looking at somewhere in here, look at that move down that just happened here, right?
Yeah.
And we probably had the same thing happen here. I know we did because I was running this race yesterday, and here and here. So anybody in long trades at that time would say, boy, we're in a risk-off environment. And unless my stock is truly, truly alpha and unaffected by the market, I might want to consider tightening my stop or taking some profits.
Right.
So, these are the ways that we not only scan and give ideas, but we're also helping you with pointing you towards good risk management skills like that.
No, that's a great point. You're not so micro-focused on these races that are just stocks. In pops an inverse, ETF, and you suddenly realize, whoa, here comes another one. Whoa. This is also showing you overall market activity too.
So I've kind of covered some of the real major basics as far as the software goes. What I have not covered at this point is Brokerage Plus in the simulator, which I'm going to cover in a moment here. As well, I have not covered back testing and compare count windows. These get to be some of the more advanced features, and I think the user's guide covers those very well. And so we are crunched for a little bit of time here, as I will have to part not too long from now. But we're going to touch some basics on these here, and then let's get it opened up for a Q&A here before I run out. So what I want to bring over now is our Brokerage Plus window.
While you do that, let me answer this question from Mark that's in the chat. How do you add the inverse ETF box in the races? How you add them is you let the market activity add the entrant to the race, and in the settings for the races, you can add this feature of I only want 10 lanes, but stocks that don't meet the criteria fall off of the race, and new entrants are able to come into the race and appear. When that happens, you let the universe kind of meet the criteria that the race is based off of, the top list that it's based off of. And that's how you suddenly see racing to a top, or racing in terms of movement with momentum, an inverse ETF, which is a signal, one or more of those kinds of ETFs in your race would tell you that there's some atmospherics here that are what the atmospherics are for the market. In this case, we're headed down as these stocks do better.
Right, because we're racing on change from open here. These are the ones that are making the biggest move from the change from the open now. So, for example, here's our gold miner bear. All right, look at that move. Look at this move. Here's the open, right? So that's why these are coming in and winning these races, or I won't say necessarily winning, but leading these races.
At key times, right.
You can create symbols lists and attach them to the races so they only look at the stocks that you want. Some people like to do that. I personally prefer to let the race just look at the whole market based on what I've selected on filters and let it go from there. But you're welcome to race on watch lists and things of that nature. That goes back to the symbols list function that I shared earlier, talked about earlier. Also, if you're interested in symbols lists and those functions, let me share a video with you that I did on that. Bear with me while I grab that video. So
video
here going into the chat is a video that I did on how I created a watch list for ETFs, but that can be applied to any scan.
Where can people find the library of other video, that one and others? Is it also from our YouTube Trade Ideas channel?
You can find that in a couple of places here. So our education page is a big deal.
It is a big deal.
So if we're on our homepage, trade-ideas.com, let me drop that into the chat as well here. You see a few different tabs that are going across the top: features, pricing, media, and the also important education page. TI User's Guide right here as well. We've gone over that as well, that it's up here in the help function. Getting Started series, which I talked about earlier. We've got that right here. It's 30 minutes. 10 videos. Most of you can probably skip the first 2 videos and cut yourself down to 24 minutes right away. We've talked a lot about right-click magic, but there it is again if we needed it. Layout styles, when we talked about building the layouts that we want from the channel bars or shares that we've scans that we had shared with friends. It goes into all these different items here. Again, if you have not watched that series, please take the 25 minutes or so to do that. Again, here's a link for that as well. So there's the home page going into the chat. Here is the Getting Started series going into the chat. All right. This webinar you could have found through this link here as well. My 3:30 sessions, Monday through Friday. Also Monday through Friday at noon Eastern. I do Mondays. Michael Noss does Tuesdays. Jamie Hodge does Wednesdays. Steve Gomez does Thursdays. And Andy Lindloff does Fridays on those. This stream opens at 9 o'clock Eastern every single morning. Barry runs it, except during those hour times that I just selected or just gone over with you there. Traders Room broadcast from 2 sides. You can find that over here. We have the daily webinars. These are bi-weekly. So 1 week is going to be Monday, Wednesday. The next week is Tuesday, Thursday. Those happen at 2 p.m. Pacific or 5 p.m. Eastern. Sign up for those there. And then lists and lists and lists of educational videos, what we came in here for. Back to Basics series by Michael Noss. If you are still finding your way in the trading world and you do not watch this set of videos, you are doing yourself a huge disservice. He starts at what is a stock, comes into charts and candlesticks, right? Some basic support and resistance and trends for you fundamental fans. He covers some of that, even though he thinks fundamentals are icky, and so do I. But that doesn't mean that they're not important. We're technicians who live in a fundamental world, as Matthew Verdal always says.
It's a big
runs
world.
all the way up into artificial intelligence.
Yep.
36 videos, all right? Do yourself a favor, especially if you're a new trader, and take a look at that. And then, of course, we have some different ebooks that are in here as well for you folks to go over and read and brush up on your trading knowledge and strategy knowledge.
Great recap. Thank you.
Again, all that lives in the education page. Let me drop a link to that as well, just in case. Please make sure to bookmark these links. You're going to want those. They're going to be your friends over the next coming weeks and hopefully months as you all sign up to be full-time Trade Ideas subscribers. Now, I want to get to the simulator. Extremely important. Don't do what I did and start trading in your first couple of weeks of learning to trade. This is an investment. The software is an investment. Trading as a business. Businesses just don't pop open, right? It takes time to create a business plan, get the loans, set up the structure of the business, both internally and physically, right? On paper and out there inside the business, the floor plan, all that. Same concepts all apply to trading, right? So, we buy the building first. Sometimes it takes months to get that building open before the business can open, whether it's a bank or a restaurant or a retail store, right? Well, Trade Ideas is part of your building. And we can have a live simulator opened right away so that we can start to make floor plans of that building. And the building part of that is our trading plan. Live simulator, we can connect to it. Don't look at how bad my simulated trading is. I'm just teasing. Down $12,000 in my simulated account. But what I've done here is I've just bought things over time as an illustration of how this all works. Obviously, we're not in any live market time, so I can't show you that right now. But it works just like a broker where I can click on any stock, right? And they will load into the simulator here. So we can see I clicked on RVNC. It loaded down here. I can click if I want to buy or sell. quantity of stocks as a share, or I could switch it to dollars and say I want to buy X amount of dollars of the stock, right? Do we want a market order or a limit order?
That's the way I use the tool. I'm more of one, how much am I putting at risk? So I use dollars at risk and let the system calculate the number of shares there for that are going to be, in play. And that way I know cleanly, this is the amount that I have at risk with this decision. How long am I in the markets for with this risk? And that helps me. But, certainly shares are the other way of doing it. But I like the shortcut, the time that the system saves me by thinking in terms of dollars and putting that at risk.
Exactly. And then once we've set up what we want here, we can send. We have the abilities to trade off the chart as well. And again, all covered in the user's guide.
What about the strategies that one can use and set up in advance? So when a decision
that will come into the chart trading. So we've got a whole section in the user's guide.
Okay, got it.
And in the strategies here, I would right click and I can go default chart long or default chart short.
Which
now,
you get
if you look up here in my chart, you can see the sell is grayed out. Watch this. And if we open a new chart, duplicate. Not loading. Why are you doing that to me? Enable. Where's my enable? I didn't click short. That's why. Okay. Giving me a hard time. I don't know why. I'm missing something here. Perhaps David will figure it out for me. But if I click buy, because I have that already set up into my thing, I can click buy and I can put right on the chart where I want my orders to go. And you can see a buy actually filled me in the after hours here. Technically, I guess it's considering it still. And it's set up my risk management on this because I have the strategy set up. And you can see a target and a stop went in. These can all be edited. Again, right click magic. All these functions are edited here inside the strategies tab. I can even start a new strategy.
Exactly.
I can go new trading strategy and I can name it whatever I want here. Is it a long strategy, a short strategy? I point it at the account that I have used, that I'm using. Go through the order details, whether we're market or limit, so on and so forth. Please, please, please use the simulator if you are new to trading. Even if you're not new to trading, you might want to use it just for a little bit here to get used to throwing some trades here. And again, for those that want E-Trade and Interactive Brokers, we directly connect to both. I often get asked which one's better. There is no better. There's different. It's like saying what's better, cheese pizza or pepperoni pizza. If you can't eat spicy things or you're, a vegetarian, I can't tell you pepperoni pizza, right? Well, E-Trade, benefits of E-Trade, you get commission-free trading. You don't have to pay for any extra data from E-Trade, essentially. What you don't get from E-Trade is they don't have the greatest short book out there. Their API is a little wonky on the open. That's on them, not on us necessarily, although nobody should be trading the first 30 seconds of the market anyways in general, but that's a personal thing. Interactive Brokers, you get a better short book than you do with E-Trade for those of you that short stocks. You also, with Interactive Brokers, though, have to pay for data feed. It's $4.50 a month. Not a terribly large fee, but it is a fee. For some people that does matter. You also have a small commission on Interactive Brokers. We don't connect to Interactive Brokers Lite currently, perhaps someday.
Right. Some might find the Interactive Brokers platform and user interface somewhat daunting. It is a we'll say complicated, a little bit more complicated than E-Trade. E-Trade has a little bit more of an emphasis on the user experience, but it falls maybe a little short on as many features as Interactive Brokers has. That's my usual take on it. I use both.
And so I use Interactive Brokers. I have a small account that I do testing with for the system here to make sure we're working correctly. And then I do a lot of my heavy lifting through Thinkorswim. I just happen to like the platform. I used it for a long time. The other thing with E-Trade, like I said, is that while they don't have a great short book, if you're not someone who short stocks, you got commission-free trading there. So, there's no worries. You're not using the short book anyways, so that's kind of irrelevant to you. You save yourself a few dollars that way. Again, no right or wrong, no better or worse, just simply different as far as those go. And while we don't directly connect to any other brokers at this time, we can indirectly connect to them, meaning that I could click on a symbol and it'll send to my broker. And then from there, I share size and execute. And I didn't want to do that. I want to do this here. And we can look at, that's called external linking. Again, right here in the user's guide. You can go over that inside there, videos and tutorials to go over for there. I think I've really covered a lot of the basics that I want to. And as I said at the beginning of this, I could talk about the software for 5 straight hours and not cover everything. So there's no way anybody could learn this entire software in 2 weeks. There's also no way that anybody uses every single aspect of this software. But with that said, that doesn't mean people aren't learning and growing, and how they use the software today will not be how they use the software tomorrow, next week, or next year. So, keep that in mind as you're going and growing with the software. A lot of you will have probably 20 scans and 15 charts up at the beginning. And just like I did, just like many other users did. At some point, you'll probably start to narrow that stuff down, just like I did, just like many other users did. I always recommend having multiple layouts for different time frames, meaning how I scan in the pre-market is not how I scan in regular market, is not how I scan in the post-market. So I have separate layouts for all those things. Those are things that you're going to want to learn and consider and adjust going forward. These are some of the hangups that I had as an early user, and anything that I can do to get that learning curve a lot faster around the edges for you, getting around all those things. That's what I'm here for. That's why I do these webinars. That's why I do the 3:30 webinars daily. With all that said, I want to open it all up to a Q&A here before I have to part ways on the day. I see Mark. So you can send desired trades to Thinkorswim. Yes, kind of. I'll open up Thinkorswim. Give me a few moments to get that all running here. And we will go over that. So I'm loading that up here. Tom, best educators and support team out there. Any platform, contacted support on many issues. Wasn't sure. The guided me through it was all right. Thanks, Tom. Appreciate that. We always like to hear the positive feedback. We get all kinds of feedback, good and bad. So hearing the good ones is always very nice. And I'm loading up Thinkorswim now. So just give me a minute here to get that loaded. And I'm going to show off the external linking feature. It'll just take a second here.
While you're doing that, I'll just have to maybe pose the question. I'll put it in chat, but I'll say it first. It's like, what's your motivation for trading in the markets? Thanks, Jeff. We'll show you how.
Yeah, I'll show that top list race. It's one of my few brags ever. And it's not a humble brag. Every week I find, I'll say 10 really, really actionable ideas. There's never a quote unquote easy chart, but for day trading, but I find for me some much easier charts. All right. So in this here, if I go to the trade window here, what I can do is this. I can go tools, external linking. I'm going to widen this out a little bit here. I can go add link. Do not click anything anywhere. If you click anything, this turns pink. You got to start over again. Click OK. You're going to bring your cursor over the order entry or the symbol entry box, and you're going to press Shift. And sometimes it doesn't take the first time, so press it a couple times. There we go. Now you see it says main at Thinkorswim. All right. For Thinkorswim, you're going to leave the rule as none, and you're going to click alternative method. Yes, there is a rule for Thinkorswim. It doesn't work anymore.
Oh.
What I like to disclaimer is this. External linking is a completely one-sided effort on our part. None of these people that we link to know we exist, with the exception of Interactive Brokers. None of them work with us. They don't care about, I won't say they don't care about you, but they don't care about you. And they certainly don't care about us. They make edits to their platform all the time. We are not in their consideration when they do that. They don't give us a heads up or anything like that. They don't care that you link us to them or anything like that. But we're always, when people say something isn't working, we get on our end. There was an issue with Thinkorswim earlier in the year. We were able to get it resolved. There was an issue with TradingView. We were able to get it resolved. All right. So we're always working on our end because we actually do care about you. With that said, I've got that set up. And as I click through, we're going to start to see, hopefully it'll work. There we go. Thinkorswim can lose focus very easily, but as you see here, it's changing everything that's in here. And if I were to go back to charts, got to click in the box again. Now it's changing through. Thinkorswim is a very focus-based app, meaning that if I click anything else in Thinkorswim, so for example, we can see right now that it's changing the symbols for me, right? But if I click back onto the trade tab here and I start clicking symbols, it's not sending the symbol anymore because it's trying to send it to trade here. There's all kinds of functions going on in the background that's messing us up here. But I just click back into that box and it brings it back in focus. And there it is, right? And then from here, you still gotta, am I buying? Am I selling? What's my order size and all those things like that? One of the big reasons that I love Thinkorswim is the ladder that's here and all that stuff like that. So with that said, you got all that going on here. And don't forget, within Thinkorswim, you want to link the windows. So we've got, you've got those links here, but these are, more Thinkorswim type of things, but all there for you. Just a quick tutorial. We can link like this to most brokers. Some brokers give us more trouble than others. Some people like to have 5 external links going on at once. Consider this. You have 5 different platforms open and they might not all play nicely with each other, right? So consider that when you're trying to link to DOS and Thinkorswim and Interactive Brokers and Cobra and Fidelity and Wealth Charts and TraderView,
I will amend what you said before, Chris, about the caring fact. I mean, some of these brokers, some, I don't put them all in one category. Some have better, some listen more to their customers than others. We have had success with Thinkorswim on occasion updating or letting us know what their changes are, or us figuring it out. But it's also based on how, if you're a customer of any of these brokers, mentioning it to their customer support, like, hey, do you know trade ideas? And, can you connect to this? I'm asking you to do this. That stuff gets logged and they do listen to those requests. I mean, it's, they will listen to you before they listen to us.
Yes, it's squeaky wheel gets the grease. Unfortunately, we're not the wheel that they're looking to grease, without any question. The brokers, they want you obviously to open accounts and trade through them and all those things like that. But when you start to get into, for example, a Thinkorswim that is employing tens of thousands of people, that grease that they're giving the wheels is more pointed at, broader functions for large swaths of their users. When there's just, 100 people maybe out of their hundreds of thousands of users that are asking about trade ideas, you're not getting filtered to the top, essentially. And that's a fact of life on anything, essentially.
Yeah.
So again,
anybody else have any questions? We're kind of winding down, are we not, Chris?
Going to start to, yeah. With full disclosure, I have my 8U team has a softball game at 12 o'clock today, Eastern time. So at some point I'll have to make some breakfast here and get to
start your stretching.
Get that ready. Exactly. So Jeff, yes, asked about the race here. So let me do 2 things here. Let's load from cloud. So this is how you can share scans from your cloud and go to load from cloud. And I can search from that scan. ATIVE, relative strength from the open race. That's this one here. And I'm going to share again, copy this URL, paste it there. And now I'll go over that scan again. I'll go over the very specifics of the scan again. So again, at its core is a top list. We're going to come to the advanced configure of that. And what I did here is I said I want to look for stocks between $2 and $100. You can edit this, of course. I want to see they traded at least 250,000 shares on the day. I put this 5-minute volume in here, which is a 5-minute percent volume of 10-day average. So 15. Now, that's a very low number because 100 would be normal. 200 would be 2x on the volume. But what I did here is when I first created the scan and didn't have this, I was getting stocks that were trading 100,000 shares in one shot. And then they don't trade for half an hour. And then they trade 10,000 shares. and they don't trade for 25 minutes again. And then they trade another 30,000 shares and they don't trade for an hour. I want to see stuff that's actively traded. I don't want to see stuff that just has big lots going and then that's the end of it. So just added this in here to make sure that the stock's, consistently trading a few shares every few minutes. There's no big delay in any shares being traded. So that's why I added this here.
You want like a little liquidity. You want
that's exactly
it to move smooth. And if it's sluggish or choppy or worse, just
something
lurching.
Exactly. Something could be very liquid, meaning it traded 2 million shares on the day, but it did it in 5 transactions. Right. That's not tradable, right?
Right.
So I want stuff. I don't mind if something only traded 750,000 shares on the day, but I want it, I want to see a few shares coming through every minute. I don't want stagnant stocks that are just sitting there not trading. The next part of this to really find some momentum is I use Bollinger Bands on 15 minutes because I like 15-minute charts. Did this in the spirit of John Bollinger. I always like to name drop. I met John this past spring at CMT Symposium. I highly recommend if any of you folks are really getting into technical analysis, checking out the CMT Association. Great group of people. John was very gracious, took a lot of time and talked with me. We talked strategies, we talked charts, we talked technical analysis. The way John likes Bollinger Bands, and I'm going to paraphrase and shorten a lot of the stuff because John's got a lifetime of this going on. But the short and skinny of it is a Bollinger Band is a 20 SMA that has 2 standard deviations above, 2 standard deviations below. A break of the top band indicates momentum. A break of the lower band indicates weakness, essentially, or momentum to the downside. Many people, and a popular way to use it is that a break of the top band is going to be a revision to the mean. John does not use it in that regard, generally speaking. So in the spirit of him, I was looking for things that were breaking towards the top band, showing me momentum. And so those are the stocks that I want to find, right? So that's what's going to populate on my top list. Again, what goes to the top of that top list? It's going to be the stocks that are the most up from the open, because if something gaps down and it has a big reversal, I want to see it. Yeah. And that's the basis of the race. Once those stocks are found, then the race takes them on a change from open and a delta sort, meaning now I've got all my stocks that are up the most from the open, but we're starting them even and racing them at a delta value on that change from open. You can race on anything you want. You just have to add it as a column to the races. So for example, on this drop down, these are all we see right here for those, right? If I come back again to the configure of the advanced top list inside here and I go to columns, these are the only columns that I have selected right now, right? But I could go to search, and if I wanted to race on relative volume, for example, where's relative volumes? Right there. I can go show column, and now I'd have that option. If I wanted to race, for example, on, let's see, change. First I have to type, right? Change on a 2-minute percent. I can click that, show column. Now it wasn't there before. It's going to be here now. Change 2-minute percent. And I could race on that on a delta value, right? That's the power of racing. What's moving now? What do I want to see that's moving now?
That cloud link you just added, though, is the race.
That is the race. That is correct. That's the race at its core right there. Like I said, I think I'm a very objective person in general. I'm a Yankees fan. When the Yankees are stinking, I'm going to call them out on it. I'm not one of those people that's, that was definitely a strike. When it was a ball, it was a ball. My daughter, she's a pretty good viola player. She needs to still work on her string action, her bow action on that. She's a strong reader. She needs to work on her handwriting. I'm objective about most things. One thing I'm not objective about is how awesome this race is. It's going to be my claim to fame someday. So with that said, again, if anybody has any more questions, as we're going to start to wind this down here in the next minute or two, if there are questions, I'll stick around for another couple of minutes.
Chris, I've got to go, but this was great.
File those questions in here. David, thank you for popping in. Always appreciate the company. And you have a great rest of your morning.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. I'll let you go. Have a great weekend.
You too, David. Take care. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
So always appreciate David popping in like that. He started doing that a couple of weeks ago when I took over for Barry in the traders room. And Yeah, we had a good back and forth and a good rapport. Who knows? Maybe we turn it into a show one of these days. How do we find your race and try it out? I dropped the link in here already, so I'm dropping it again. There's a link in the chat. Go ahead and copy that link. All right. And then once you've copied that link, you'll go File, Load from Cloud. It should populate in here, but in the event it does not populate in here, go ahead and paste it in here. Click Load, and you'll get it to load. And then you can save it by right-clicking, Save or Share to Cloud, and you'll save the race, relative strength from the open race. You can rename it if you want or anything like that. Clean some of this out of my way. And again, if any of you somehow, somewhere here, and you have not signed up for our test drive, we've given early access this weekend for the test drive. So please, there's a link for that. Sign up. Give us a chance to show you just how powerful the software is. I will be doing this again tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. I will cover much of what I covered here again. I always add a slightly different flavor every time that I do these, just in case there's repeat offenders in here. Keep it fresh. Again, I could talk about this software for 5 straight hours and not cover everything. So I know everybody wants to hit the ground running. I know everybody wants to make $1 million in their first year. I know everybody wants to scan for everything. Try to be realistic and temper those emotions. And I think controlling your emotions is a fool's errand, but controlling your impulses, I think, is very important. Control your impulses, control you, especially when it comes to trading. So again, making a last call for questions here. If anybody has any, please fire those away for me. That's fair enough, Mark. But listen, so Mark, I do this every day at 3:30 Eastern. Now it's not quite as done like this, but I do an open Q&A every Monday through Friday at 3:30 Eastern. So again, that's on the education page on the live classes that you'll find there. So again, here's the education page for those of you that don't have it. Copy and paste. All right. Barry opens the live stream in the traders room at 9 o'clock Eastern every single morning. It's free to anybody. You don't need a subscription or anything. The reason we do that is we believe in our software so much that if people jump in there and they're really, really serious about learning about trading, technical analysis, and scanning the markets, that they're going to see the value in this and they're going to get an education. While we don't quote unquote teach trading, you can't help but learn about technical analysis by hanging in these, especially, like I said, Monday through Friday at noon Eastern. You get a different trader in there. So you get different looks at different kinds of technical analysis through different experience and different trading styles every single day for that hour. And then you get me again at 3:30 Eastern every single day, Monday through Friday. And I go over scans. I go over what I saw. I take questions on charts. I'll take questions on, trading itself. What I won't ever do, and what no one here will ever do, is tell you what to buy, sell, or hold. What's a good swing trade? I don't know. What's a good swing trade is always what I'm going to say. But, we can certainly look at charts and we can certainly go over, that looks like a pivot area of this. That looks like a pivot area of that, things like that. So I suppose if no questions are coming in, that will be a wrap today. Last things I'm going to end with again, support@trade-ideas.com. All right. You can email us there anytime. We will get to you. Sometimes we might get to you in 1 minute. Sometimes we might get to you in 3 hours. All right. But we will get to you. We never ignore anything. The education page again that I just shared, right? Again, one more time. Ultra important, that education page. All right. Bring up our pages here again. In this education page, you've got the user's guide. You've got the Getting Started series, where you find our support sessions. Both the traders room and the support sessions are broadcasted at the same time. Just this one here is a YouTube link like you're in right now. This one here is a more inclusive traders room. Barry runs this the whole day himself at noon Eastern again, and at 3:30 Eastern, one of us takes over on the YouTube side, and it's a slightly different flavor versus the Traders Room. And again, in the Traders Room, we will never, ever recommend to buy or sell. We talk about technical analysis. We share scans. We share things. For example, I'm looking at stock ABC because it has this rising SMA, or I'm looking at stock XYZ because it has this RSI divergence. We talk about ideas and why we're seeing those ideas. We also, in the Traders Room, we never talk about money. We never talk about share size. The reason for that is we don't want the person that's got the $10,000 account to feel inadequated by the person that has the $10 million account, right? We're there to help each other, share ideas, share scans, share technical analysis, share trading plans, but never pump or recommend in that regard. Keep seeing the number tick up here, so keeps making me want to hang on for a few moments. I see that a number of new people look like they've joined the stream here. So if anybody that's new joining here has any questions before I wrap up, fire those away for me. Making a last call again. Michael's Back to Basics. We have all kinds of educational videos. We have all kinds of webinars. They're all on the educations page. Again, into the link or into the chat goes the link for the educations page. Click on that. And you will be taken to this page here. You bookmark it forever and ever and have that as a way to go over the different functions of software and different support options that we have for you as well. All right, with that said, I'm going to make a going once. Remember, you can trade on any time frame with this, or you can scan on any time frame with this. You can always email us if you're having trouble finding something that you're looking for. Going twice. Our support is available through that email that I shared on any one of our pages, whether it's the home page, the education page. You have this questions and answers section here, all kinds of things that you can look up here. We've got our Ask tab. You can email when the support chat is closed. When the support chat is open, you'll have an option for chat here. Going 3 times. You're very welcome, Mark. Thank you. My daughter's team, actually. My daughter's. I coach softball. I'm on the Little League board, and I coach softball. They've really converted me from baseball to softball. So, all right, folks. With that said, I'm going to wrap it up today. Again, I really appreciate everybody coming in. The last 2 things that I'm going to share again, I'm going to pump one more time the education link. All right. All free education that's in there. You don't need anything. Damn Tinder bots. And if you have not signed up for the test drive, $11.11 will get you full access. Oops, give me one moment. We'll get you full access to the software till the 31st of this month. And there you have it, sports fans. I very greatly appreciate you all taking the time with me this Saturday morning. I will be back here tomorrow. Same link to get in at 10 a.m. Eastern. And we'll do it again, just with a slightly different flavor. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Mark. I really appreciate you all coming in here. Jorge, all right. Tom. I think that covers everybody that threw anything in the chats. And again, I greatly appreciate you all coming in. You all have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your Saturday on the spinning globe we call Earth. I'll catch, hopefully, all of you tomorrow and the coming days. Take care.